I'm just record that again, and we'll just do that and see. So if you pounce me, I am bucking. I am now moving and bucking. I fucked up the swing there. Well, and you did anyway, so there you go. So that's why Stego's fucked up still. Because you can buck, it cancel it into a swing and still be bucking, and then just swing. So yeah. Hello YouTube, it's me, Turkish Delight. This is episode 2 of day 1 of the Raptors Discord training server testing, led by me and all of my little helpers. Now, this is a video that I've been pretty excited to show off. Ever since the first one didn't really do as well as I hoped it would. This one probably won't until I make the full Stego extravaganza. But the premise of the video is pretty simple. Stego is broken. Since my last video talking about how the Stego is broken, and the devs seem to be adamant that Utahs are going to be able to kill Stegos, I told them that it's not going to happen. Any competent Stego is never going to die to a Utah. Even a pack of Utahs. It doesn't matter. And they said that they would actually look over. They said they would look over a lot of things I found out. And one of them in particular was the fact that you could buck cancel. If you don't know what this is, it's easiest to do on the Stego because it actually has something useful to do. If you hold E and then swing your tail, you are still bucking even though you don't have the animation for it. Which means you can walk around. You could run into a tree for all you care. You could just swing, spam swing, or you could run towards another Stego such that it can hit the Utah, or a Paki, or a Tenno. Doesn't matter. I'd really hoped that this wouldn't be in the game in this patch. I really hoped that after them looking at quite a lot of things, I'd go, yeah, nah. But it's been like a year since I really properly played this game and tested it. Because all I've really done is just fly around with a fucking Pteranodon and just watch people play the game. But it's still in the game, believe it or not. You hold the buck button, E, when a Utah pounces you, and you swing your tail, it cancels. Now, why is this a huge issue? This is a giant issue because it means that Stego can go on the offensive, even when it's apparently on the most defensive it can possibly be. The second that you latch onto a Stego, you can potentially be held hostage. And I'll explain why. If you take the first video in this small series, I overviewed how pounce changes have made it, not even pounce changes, how the pounce works in that the initial bleed that you do in the first second is about 3 times as efficient as any subsequent second. And in fact, this decreases exponentially as time goes on. The longer you hold a pounce, the less you get out of it. You deal more bleed damage, yes, but you would have dealt more bleed if you just did multiple short pounces. This is healthy, in my opinion, kind of, because it means that you actually need to go for multiple short pounces, which means that there's more counterplay, there's more gameplay in killing a Stego, you know? Now, the big thing is that, given the fact that I want to bridge the gap between the worst players and the best players, this means that both the Utah, if we see in a perfect world where everyone knows all of the knowledge I'm going to find out, every single Utah, every single Stego knows that what the Utah really wants, desperately, more than it wants anything else in the world, is to latch on to that Stego for a second, jump back off. And then another one goes on for 1 second, latches back off. You even have multiple go on for 1 second and latch back off. Now, the Stego knows this. Because what the Stego's going to do is that if you hold the buck and you swing, that takes pretty much 1 second. You can see where this is going. The second that Utahs drop off after a second, the Stego swings. Now, to get the best of both worlds in this bleed hierarchy, if you hold it for 2 seconds, you get a very high efficiency, ridiculously high efficiency, not as good as just 1 second, but very high, but you deal a more substantial bleed over time during that 60 seconds that the bleed ticks down, which means that it's technically better. It's less efficient, which means you won't be dealing as much bleed if you just did 2 tap pounces instead, but you will have to go for less pounces, and you're still getting a very decent amount of bleed on the way. This means that the Stego would also know this, which means Utah has 2 plans. Plan A, latch on, latch off. The Stego's plan A is always to buck and swing, to catch that one out. This means that the Utah is forced, by the will of God itself, it would seem, to stay onto the Stego for longer, which means it's burning more stamina. Now, because it's burning more stamina, the pressure to jump back off increases, and then the Stego can just keep spamming. In fact, the Stego can wait. Utahs normally, from what I've seen, instinctively jump off around half their stamina. That's about 3.5 seconds. The Stego can swing at that 3.5 Stego mark and catch you out. Furthermore, ridiculously good Stegos. The best Stegos we have on our server is a lad called Chonk. Then we have the Human Enigma that is hard is my style. Both ridiculously good Stegos. They have very, very powerful systems. They can see the frame where you pretty much jump off and then just swing. In fact, they can snipe you out the air when you're going in for the pounce in the first place. So they're ridiculously strong. They are the benchmark of where we're doing Stego tests, effectively. Unfortunately, they couldn't arrive on the first day because no one's as committed towards this testing as me, because that's my specialty, is crunching the numbers and thinking, God, isn't that sexy? So, what this basically means is that the fact that Stego can hold a Utah hostage during a pounce means that the Utah is pretty much in the same place that it was before. Stegos are just as strong. In fact, stronger, because now they use less stamina to buck. So, good luck, I guess. Stegos are still just cracked. Wanted to talk more about this as to what I would change. Because other dinosaurs can also animation cancel. A Tenno can animation cancel, but the wind up and the cooldown for a tail slam is huge. So you normally want to kick. And then you want to kick, rotate, and then try and tail slam. Before, you used to be able to actually curve the Tenno's tail slam while you were moving, in which you could snipe Utahs when they were jumping off you. You'd hit their tail at worst and do some damage. Or the best is that you'd hit them just before the tail and they'd actually land flat on the ground. You can't really do this anymore because you can't spin your camera and do that flick, which means pouncing Tennos has never been easier. Couple in mind with a tap pounce and you're looking at a very, very good time for them. Stego still broken. The thing that I would change is that you can't buck cancel. That's all I wanted. All I told the QA team, right? The official testers of the game, the guys who are testing this and balance changing and working out everything works. When I mentioned this, most of them didn't even know that Stego could buck cancel. Not many people knew this. I told them, I said, please fix this, because it's gonna cause a lot of issues. If you want Utahs to hunt Stegos, it doesn't matter if you make it so that the Utah jumps further off the Stego, or if the Utah can look at the position in which it wants to dismount. It doesn't matter. If one, it gets sniped on the way there, or two, the Stego can hold it hostage. It's like they don't... I don't know. I don't want to say anything mean. Instead, I'm going to chalk it up to incompetence or my own lack of vision, in which the issue is either the QA test team just doesn't know about these things, doesn't report them, or doesn't really care, or B, I'm just not seeing what they want the game to be. Maybe they want Stego to be this creature that just cancels a buck into an animation and the animation continues in the background even though the Stego isn't bucking. Because the whole idea is that the Stego can't move when it's bucking, which means another Utah can jump on, but it can. So you can buck one Utah. In fact, a strategy that Hard is My Style used to do is he used to let the first Utah just stay on top of him. He didn't care. The bleed was insignificant. He used to just let it stay on him, and he would buck cancel, then just wait for the next Utah to try and jump on, and then he'd snipe them, right? And then you'd have this one Utah with barely any stamina, and he would chase it down. And that's two of them dead. So in a pack of 8, you're now down by 25%. So ridiculous. But you may be saying, oh, but you deal so much bleed. So yes, but it doesn't matter. You're dealing like what? Maybe you deal 10% bleed in a 21-second pounce. You're dealing at best 20% bleed. And with group psychology, normally if 2 Utahs die very, very quickly, the rest of you are probably going to start, packing it in a little bit. You're going to wind in your neck. Because now you've realized, I can die here. So, and of course, when I released the first Stego was Cracked video, and I was trying to get people to listen to my findings, it was such a big deal to me. And I had so many people joining the Discord, so many people messaging me, saying that I was stupid, and that I was wrong, that I don't know what I'm talking about, and Utahs can kill Stegos really easily, and I've seen like 2 Utahs kill a Stego. And maybe you have. To be honest, maybe you have. We've killed Stegos with Utahs. Right? Of course we have. You know what I mean? It's like, that doesn't prove anything. Right? Like, if I beat up a child, that sounds horrible. But the point is, like, if I beat up a child, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that child stood a fair fight. Yeah, that is equivalent if I was to fight that child when he was fully grown. No, you're playing against a bad player. If I was to fight that child when he was the same age as me, probably be maybe an even fight. I'm not the strongest guy in the real world. Try my best, but you're not there. But I don't know. It's just grates me, and it's part of the reasons why I stopped doing testing. Because if that was the reaction that my testing videos were going to get, was a bunch of people calling me stupid and an idiot and yada yada yada, and saying that, well, I did this. It's like, cool, yeah, you're right. I guess all this testing and all of this number crunching is just worthless because your personal experience told you that you killed a Stego with like a juvie Utah. Shut up. So, yeah. Once again, I will say to the QA testers and to anyone watching this, bring this issue up. Because they're never going to tell me. They never told me in the first place. If this is intentional Stego behavior, is if they want Stego to be able to very, very efficiently butt cancel. You know? Now, of course, what's going to happen is that the devs do nerf this. Stegos are probably going to be outraged by a mechanic they probably didn't even fucking know about in the first place. And they're going to say, well, Stego is dead. But it's not. Because Hard as My Style and Chonk basically prove that you can snipe Utahs out the air when they're latching onto you and when they're dismounting with rapid efficiency. And the second thing no one ever talks about, Stegos are never by themselves. Tell me when you've really seen a Stego by themselves. They're normally growing in pairs of two. Whenever I see Stegos around plains, center, they always have an entire herd around them. Because they're just one call. One call. And then all the other herbivores run towards them. And you have a giant herd. Right? How are you meant to deal with that? I've seen quite a few YouTube videos. A YouTuber that I really love, X something. I've forgotten his name. X Raptor or something. He did a video basically saying, should herbivores or carnivores be stronger? Like, which one? And he said that the issue is the pack sizes. Herbivores are normally in herds. You know, a solo carnivore still needs to kill something. But what, you make a solo carnivore the same strength as the herd? It's ridiculous. No. What I would love to see is an absolute pounce overhaul. That's what I'd love. You can keep tap pouncing being more efficient. I don't care. If the reason for that is because if you get threatened off your pounce, you can easily dismount and still get something out of it, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just a cool thing to know. What I would love is, for one, Stegos can't butt cancel, and two, make the Utah have a recovery for missing a pounce again, because it's ridiculous that it's gone. Because what's going to happen is that Utahs that aren't really that good at the game are just going to spam pounces, and you're not going to be allowed to punish them. If you manage to dodge a pounce, or slow down so the Utah thinks it can pounce, and then speed off, and the Utah misses, you should be allowed to hit that Utah, and maybe even kill them, right? But you can't, they just run off. I would make it so that you have a big stagger for missing a pounce, right? First of all. Then I would make it so that the pounce is harder to do, you know? Like, the idea that I had ages ago was that the pounce would work like a riposte. If you don't know what a riposte is, it's normally a thing in fencing, where your opponent goes for an attack, and you deflect the attack, and then go in for a lethal jab, right? It's effectively like a counter, if you ever watch boxing. You know, you use your weight and the opponent's momentum going forward, and you skadoosh, haymaker straight into their jawline, and beautiful to watch. Anyways, so I would want it to be like that, where when the dinosaur reaches an ideal animation, or is moving slowly, your pounce latches on, right? And then you can then increase the amount of bleed damage the Utah actually does. Make it a devastating attack, okay? And then make it so that if the dinosaur is running, right, it's harder to pounce onto it. Do that. If you pounce onto something that's moving, you drain more stamina. I wouldn't mind that. Because it would mean that Utahs would, one, be prioritized to ambush things. Two, Utahs will be prioritized, for example, in matchups against Carno. Against herbivores, the herbivores are normally standing still. Unless it's a Packy. In which case, when the Packy misses its headbutt, you punish it with a pounce and kill it. Or get it to a ridiculously low amount of bleed. More often than not. Against a Carno, when the Carno is chasing after you, when you dodge, and the Carno slides, it's slow. Bang, pounce. You've punished. You've punished the Carno for going in greedily to go in and try and snap you up. You know, instead of trying to coordinate. and pin you. That's what Carnos really want to do. They want to pin you between different Carnos and then ram into you. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just talking in circles now. I'd rather do these more long-form videos a different time. But yeah, that's all you really need to know. Stegos can buck cancel, and they're ridiculously strong. Hope this helped. Adios. I don't know. It just makes me depressed. I hope you guys tune in for the next video. And if you guys are interested in the series and want to see more testing, please like and subscribe and share this video. It would be really appreciative. I hope this helps. Goodbye.